Good morning, all. Good morning, good morning. I'm just doing a sound check, so if you can't hear me or if you can hear me, comment. Yesterday we had some sound issues. I've done a check with my sister, so hopefully there's no distortion today and it should be the normal sound. Okay, so we'll start with the invocation. So you hopefully have seen in the chat that we're going to use the wall quite a lot this morning. So if you can position yourself, your mat, beside the wall like that, okay? So we're going to do some standings with the back to the wall, or you can use the back of your sofa, all right? So without further ado, I'll start with the invocation to Patanjali. Okay. So sit straight and we'll start with a chant. Bring the palms together in front of the chest, close the eyes. Relax across the tops of your shoulders and go inwards. Yogena chitasya padena vacham malam sharirasya chavaidhyakena yopa karotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram Shankachakra sidharinam Sahasra Shirasam Svetam Pranamami Patanjalim Hari Om. Maintaining the lift in the chest, bow the head down into the space of the heart and release your hands and raise your head, open your eyes. Okay, so we're going to go over what we did yesterday in class. So some of you were there, so it's a good opportunity to practice what we've done. There will be slight differences, of course. You're probably going to need some supporting props if you have them, but don't worry if you don't. I'm going to show most things with minimal props, but if you need to use more supports for dodgy hips and things like that, then take those supports. We're going to start off in Supta Badakanasana. Okay, quite simple setup. Blanket for the head if you need it or you like it, and have space to take your arms over your head if you can manage that. So you always start with a really good cross of the legs, and then as you go back, roll the spine down. So don't do some tummy tuck. Put the hands down, roll the spine down, keep that cross to the shins, buttocks towards the heels, tucking the shoulder blades under, and just wait there for the body to settle. And you're pressing your thighs down, and then you stretch the arms over like so. So we're just going to stretch the arms. If you're on a lift, you can fold the elbows, and you know, you may find that the elbows rest on the lift. But if this causes you tension in your throat or your neck, just keep the arms by your sides. The eyes can be open or closed because it's quite an active pose without supports. But if you feel as if your eyes naturally want to close, just close your eyes. Keep the arms extended, the palms open. There's nothing floppy about the arms. They are strong arms, but not tense. You're not tense in your throat or your jaw. There will be a slight curve in the lower back, so don't press your back to the floor. Press your shoulder blades, press your ribs, your outer ribs, but not your lower back. And then bring the arms back by your sides to change the cross of the legs. Try and get a really good cross. If you can catch the feet, catch the feet. Although then I get cramp. I don't know about you, but that always gives me cramp when I do that. Just has to release a bit. And again, adjust the shoulders and then take the arms over. Press your thighs actively down towards your feet. Close the eyes. If your head is very busy, just keep the eyes softly open. If you're noticing that your jaw is moving or you're pressing your teeth together, then consciously relax there, and you'll find that the mind also will relax. So we've got sound effects today. Mad dogs running around. Okay, and then bring the arms up. Bend your knees, put your feet flat to the floor, roll to the side and come up. And then we'll grab a belt. Where did I put my... Oh, I tidied them all up, you see. I can never find things when I tidy them. So I'm going to take my feet to the wall for Supta Badakanasana. I'm going to tuck the toes against the wall and use a belt to catch the ankles. You might be able to catch the ankles quite well with your hands. My arms don't reach that far. So my toes are tucked against the wall, and I bring my buttocks as close to the heels as I can. Before I do that, I just put the belt over the tops of the ankles like that, so that I can reach underneath. So you bring the buttocks towards the heels and go down. And then your hands are on the floor to catch the belt. People get terribly confused with this and bring the arms inside and all kinds of funny things. The belt is just draped over the top of the feet. It's not underneath the feet. And then I can pull on that belt and get closer. So it's quite it's quite a compact feeling in the pelvis, because the back, you're getting that slight back bend in the body, because you're not you're not far from your hips. So there's that nice coiling action in the back chest. And then my hands my hands are pulling on the belt and my thighs are resting on my fists. But if you've got stiffer hips, hip problems, then support your legs. This is where you might need some extra support. And you just stay there for a moment. Press the little toe edge of the foot down into the floor. I'm joining all the roots of the toes, but the toes themselves are bent back onto the wall. So the roots of the toes, where they join on the, what are they called? The metacarpals. They are pressing together, especially the little toe edge. And then once you've done that, you can stretch the arms over again, if that's accessible to you. You can also bring the arms out to the side if that's more comfortable. But again, it's a dynamic extension. So it's both restful and stimulating at the same time. So I'm working hard now to press my thighs down. And there's a light grip in the outer hips, especially on one side where it tends to be a bit looser than the other. And I'm imagining that extension from the inner groin along the inner thigh, wrapping around the front of the knee, contracting from the outer knee to the outer hip. And then bring the arms back up, bring the knees together, once again roll to the side and come up. Okay. So you have a choice, you always have a choice, do or not do. You have a choice as to whether to do Virasana, just Virasana, and then Supta Virasana. Okay, so when we do our Supta Virasana, there's always a choice of height that you need. Okay, so if you're somebody that can sit on the floor like me, you might be able to go back to the floor, or you might need a small lift. Or if it's very difficult for you to go back at all, you might want to stay just sitting in Virasana. All right, so for more information about that you have to go to class so that I can see you. I'm not going to teach this pose, but I am going to do it with you. So you're either going to sit in Virasana. We're only going to stay a couple of minutes, so you can sit in this pose, on a lift or on the floor, or you can lie back in Supta Virasana. And I just have to give myself a bit of time to get there. Otherwise, I tend to throw my head back. My knees come up quite a lot. So, you might be somebody as well that needs to give the groins a bit of time to open. When we're very strong in the thighs, often the quadriceps take a little while to extend. And when I go down, I'm trying not to arch too much, but get the shoulder blades to touch first, and then smoothing out the buttock flesh towards the backs of the thighs. Shoulder blades sliding down, and then the arms can be here. And because I'm on a lift, I'm not going to stretch my arms straight. You can take the arms over. If you're on the floor, you can stretch the arms straight. If you're on a lift, it's better to fold the elbows so the forearms are resting. If they're up here, it's best to work on that rotation first and have the arms here. But actually, this is quite comfortable for me today. And you might find that you get this kind of almost, it feels like a sort of burning sensation here, the outer thigh, the IT band, top of the quadricep. If there's a burning sensation in the knee, that is not a good way to be. So come out if that's you, and maybe just sit in Virasana or adjust the height under your back. But this sensation here, it does get easier. And you've got to think of the thigh moving towards the knee rather than keep contracting. Think of the thigh moving towards the knee, the front thigh, and actually the hamstring contracts slightly. It shortens slightly to allow the quadricep to lengthen. And this is a little hard here, actually. I need to soften a bit more, but you might find that it really pushes up. So if that's the case, then you maybe need to take a bit more heights and think about releasing the waist down, the ribs down towards the bolster. But don't push your back down. That's a wrong action. And a lot of teachers tell their students to flatten their lower back, which is completely incorrect. It's not anatomically correct, is it? Okay, so let's come up and come out. And then you can sit to one side and stretch the legs out. Don't be in a hurry to slam your knees down. Just slowly extend the heels and then spread the roots of the toes. Watch as the changes of colour in the feet as the blood comes circulating back. Yes, I love watching that. It's fascinating. There's one little tiny spot here where the skin is a bit paler, and this foot is redder than this foot. So there's obviously better circulation in this leg than there is in this. And this toe here is still pale. So there's something going on there, and that's probably because that hip does something different than this hip. So if you look at your feet and the way that the blood circulates after Virasana, you'll get little insights into things going on. It's fascinating. Okay, that is my geeky yoga brain at work. Okay, so yes, let's do Adho Mukha Virasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana, Uttanasana. Okay, just checking there's nobody commenting saying that they can't hear anything, so it looks all right at the moment. So my big toes are together, heels apart, remember, for Adho Mukha Virasana. We're going to go fairly swiftly into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So let's keep the height minimal under your head. I'm sorry about the camera, it's still doing that funny thing. I have a meeting with Fuji on Tuesday to see if we can sort it out, because it doesn't happen when I record from the camera. It only happens when I'm live streaming. So if there are any camera experts out there, I could do with some help. Okay, but hopefully you can hear me and you can see the basic shape. So let's stretch the arms forwards, take the head down. Last, remember. And spread those fingers, stretch the fingers forwards. And then we'll come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then walk forwards to Uttanasana. So we'll fold the elbows today. And then release the arms and look forwards and come up to Tadasana and stand up. So I thought we would do the standing poses again with the wall. We did this yesterday in the Saturday class, but we had our back to the wall. And I thought for a change, we'd have our front to the wall. So it's more restful still, because when you have your back to the wall, it's quite difficult to get that opening in the pelvis. But the wall does give you a bit of support. So if you're a bit unsteady, it's a good way to do it. This is a very different way when you face the wall, because your face is not looking into the room. So your eyes are not drawn everywhere. So it's a little bit quieter, okay? So you don't necessarily need any props. Actually, I will take one brick actually for, we'll do 3 poses like this. We'll do Trikonasana, Virabhadrasana 2 and Pajamasana, okay? And you start with your feet almost touching the wall, because you need a little bit of space, but literally only about an inch away. Feet parallel, and then turn your right leg out. Let's do Virabhadrasana 2 first. So that left foot, the toes are almost at the wall. The right foot, you want the heel in line with the left heel. So you've got a bit more space there. Turning the thighs away from each other. Just put the hands in front of you like that and bend the right leg. And see that you get the distance so that you can bend the right leg towards the right angle. And if your left hip is touching the wall, then you know that you've swung this out. So keep space between the top of the left thigh and the wall. And if the right knee is touching the wall, then you know you've swung your right buttock out. So keep that alignment in a right knee, top of the left thigh parallel, same distance from the wall as each other. And then you can stretch your arms out like this. You can even turn and rest your head against the wall like that and really stretch the arms. So it's very quietening. And then come up and change. So if you're on the sofa, put your hands on top of the sofa. I don't know why the camera's doing that. And it's not the window, because it does it whether I've got the window closed or not. So it's going a bit crazy today. Sorry about that. But hopefully you can see enough in between it twitching. So I'm bending the left leg, trying to keep that tailbone tucked, but don't overdo that if you've got quite a flat back already. Because this also gets misunderstood and overdone, and then people end up with problems the other way. It's, everything in moderation. But it's really to stop that happening, okay? It's just to correct something. It's not that you have to keep doing. Inner left knee, top of the right thigh, same distance away from the wall. Stretch the arms, and then you can turn the head. It's like you're listening. You could eavesdrop your neighbours, pretend you're doing yoga. That's it. And then come up and turn. And then we'll do Trikonasana the same way. So I'm turning my feet immediately again to the right. I'll take my hand down. And then left arm up. And in fact, you can also just have the hands cupped, the fingertips like this, like spider hands. Don't even have to use a brick for this. And you can go down further and then come up and change. So I don't know if you can see there, but my fingertips are cupped. I'm not holding a brick. I'm trying to keep my hands in line with each other. It's good practice for turning that neck. and then come up. Just bring the feet together a moment and stand in Tadasana before we do the final one, which is Pajamasana. I can hear it when the camera's doing that thing, and I'm aware that your vision is a bit blurred over there, but it's still working to some extent. Okay, so again, right leg is turning out, left toes facing the wall. Then we're going to bend that right leg. This time we take the right hand down for Pajamasana. You can have the hand outside of the foot or inside the foot, pressing the knee back onto the arm, and then this hand can come up here to steady yourself, or you can take it over and turn and look under the arm. So the only thing that should be touching the wall, really, is the fingertips and maybe the left toes. And then come up and change. If you find it a little bit difficult, maybe it affects the eyesight a little bit to be that close to the wall, just be a little bit away so that you don't fall backwards. Keep the outer edge of the foot down, and then you can bring that arm up, straight up, or bring it over. Turn the right ribs back. Try and get the left ear closer to the wall. And then come up and release. Okay. So put your buttocks against the wall. Turn the toes in. Go forwards once again for Uttanasana. Use a chair if you need it. If you folded your elbows one way, catch hold of the other elbow first. Okay, and then we'll come up and come out. Now, what was I going to do next? So, all right, so I'll give you a choice of either Prasarita or Shishasana today. So Prasarita Padottanasana will be your alternative, this one, to Shishasana head balance. Okay, I'm going to practice my head balance. You can do Prasarita with your legs against the wall or your buttocks against the wall. You can slightly lean, but it is better if your heels are against the wall. So if you've got your buttocks against the wall like this, don't have your feet too far away and go down that way. And then you can always try bringing your heels back once you get your hands down like that. So your thighs are against the wall like that. Okay, so that's another way to do Prasarita. But I'm going to do balance. And again, it's not going to be a very long head balance, only 2 to 3 minutes. So if you're in Prasarita, the standing pose, and you get tired, don't just sort of sit down and think, oh, I'll have a cup of tea while they're doing that. Don't treat this as a complete practice to get the best out of it. And maybe do downward facing dog or something like that. You know, or come up and then repeat Prasarita. So those doing head balance, remember to set up well, prepare well. And then when you're ready, go up. So get your balance and then check your, do your checks, you know, like when you get in the car or when they're going to take off, the plane is going to take off, they do their checks. What you're doing here is you're really checking to see that you are on the right point on the head, that your forearms are pressing down, and that you roll onto the inner forearm, not the outer forearm flesh, that the wrists are down, so repress them down, that you haven't closed your hands into fists, and that your eyes are looking directly forward. So if your eyes are looking in a wonky direction, it's probably because your head's not straight. And then you go to the more active work of lifting the shoulders, lifting the buttock flesh, lifting the inner legs to the inner heels, push the heels up, broaden the roots of the toes, and then see that your mouth and tongue and throat are soft. If the breath is very ragged, try slowing the breath down. If that's impossible, then you need to come down. In all the poses, apart from Simhasana, of course, the lion pose, we should have a Shavasana face. And often, when there's effort, the face will mirror what we're feeling inside. Quite normal. Mastery of the pose is not necessarily what it looks like on the outside in terms of performance. It's more to do with the effort, the alignment, and whether you can be still mindfully in the pose. Okay, so very short Shishasana. We'll come down slowly, keeping that lift of the shoulders. And then release down. Adho Mukha Virasana for a moment. Just rest the arms. You can rest the arms behind you. And then we'll come up and release. Okay. How are we doing for time? Sorry, I just have to check the timing. Make sure I'm not going over time. And okay. So we're going to take Shavangasana next. So if you're not doing shoulder balance, you can do Setu Bandha, bridge pose. So I'm hoping that you know what that is in this class. And yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take my supports. If you want to do Halasana with the chair, I'll tell you what, I'll show you Halasana with the chair so that you can go up from there. But if you're not sure what something is, then email me afterwards or go and ask your teacher or come to class, because this, as you know, this session is aimed at those that do have a regular practice. So it's not a teaching class. Okay, so I'm going to make quite a nice lift. I think I was talking about this yesterday, how, you know, if you don't have the right supports for shoulder balance, you know, try and make something that's definitely a block depth or higher, especially if you're bigger in the chest or stiffer in the shoulders. You need to have as much lift as possible so that you can balance on, because we're balancing here. And so often people balance on the shoulder blades and then they're like that on their neck. So you've got to think of being right on the apex here, if that's the right word, of your shoulders, shoulder bones. And then I'm going to put the chair here. So it's not a supported halasana, but it's just halasana with the toes on the chair. And I'll take the bolster there for my buttocks. Yes, you can use a belt. I tend to not use a belt as much these days because I used a belt for 18 years, nearly 20 years. Sometimes it's time to take that prop away because, and other times it's really good to use it. So, but I prefer to go without these days. So I do that adjustment first. Feet are apart. And then I stretch my arms back. Then I put my hands on my back, feet together, and then go up. And I hope you're doing this with me now. If you don't want to go up today, you could do Halasana instead, just have your feet on the chair. Or Setu Bandha if you have your period, or you're not sure about this pose. Or chair shoulder stand, it's okay to do that. So you can keep the left leg up, push the heel up, and bring the right leg halfway down for Ekapada, or down onto the chair for Ekapada. And as my toes touch down, I push the left leg even further up, with the back of the leg towards the heel, trying not to drop the outer right hip. And then that leg can come up. Again, if you look at the feet, there'll be different colours because of the blood circulation. So as soon as the left toes touch down, I push my heel up more on the right leg. You can feel the tightness in the back of that leg compared to the left is quite different. And then Ekapada Pajva, so you turn the foot out and bring the leg out to the side, halfway or down towards the floor if you can manage. There's a bolster there. And then up. Left leg turns. Come down. And then up. And once more Shavangasana. Of course, you don't have to do the variations. You can stay in straight Shavangasana. And then Halasana. If you're right on the tips of the shoulders, when you take the arms over, it should feel quite relaxing. Sorry about the muffled voice. If you're not on the tops of the shoulders, you take the arms over, it might feel too pressured. So keep hold of your back if that's you. If you do have the arms over, have the feet a little bit apart. And then once more, bring the hands onto the back, bring the feet together. Some of you can try going up with both legs. And then bend the knees, bring the hands behind you and roll down and come out. Slide backwards, shoulders down, across the shins, and release the arms. And then turn to the side and come up. Okay. All right, so we're going to take some forward bends next, which we didn't get time to do yesterday. So take what you need for supported forward bends. That means that your head will be supported. Okay. So I'm going to take, I think, a blanket to sit on, and if you need a belt, take a belt. I'm going to use a bolster for my head. And the first pose we'll do is Pajamasana. And those with the lower back issues, you should go to a higher lift like a chair. Okay, don't try and get to your feet if you've got the back issue. And you can keep the feet slightly apart for the first one and take the arms up. Go forwards, catch the outer edges of your feet or catch a belt. Try and get that front spine to lift up and the back spine between the shoulder blades to move forwards, then bend the elbows and draw the head down. I'm going to take an extra lift actually. And then raise the head and come up. Feet together. Janushirshasana. So we'll take the right leg out and the sole of the right foot should face up towards the ceiling. So there's that rolling action in the ankle which affects the hip. Okay, so turn the sole of the foot up and bring the toes to point towards the left thigh. Heel is coming towards the right groin. And so I'm just looking at the film going in and out. And then turn. So you're turning from the right to the left, the lower abdomen and ribs. Then that lift will go over the left shin, or you'll bring the chair over the left shin, remember, and then go forwards. Drop the elbows and you'll drop the neck. So keep the elbows slightly higher to give you more length on your armpit chest and a bit more relief in the neck. If you drop the elbows down, it tightens around the top of the neck and trapezius. And then come up and change. So you stretch out that right leg. Got to move your support to the other side. Always holding the back of the left knee. Turn so that when you take that knee back, you're turning the calf. And as you bring the foot in, the heel of the left foot comes towards the left groin. The toes point towards the right leg. And you turn over your right leg. And that bolster comes across. And then you reach forwards and grab. Then come up and release. So I thought we could do Upavishta to the wall. And again, if you don't have a wall, but you've got the sofa or the side of the bed, you could use that instead. So what you do is, let me just move my mat so it's a bit more central. And if I put this here, the buttocks, hopefully that'll be enough room. So you bring your feet out like this, and then the inner edge of the foot, so the big toe edge of the foot presses against the wall, but not the little toe edge of the foot, because otherwise you're twisting your ankle, yeah? So it's the little toe edge of the big toe edge of the foot presses in, and you can use your hands back here for a moment to sit up. I think I showed this in the Q&A last week. To get that sacrum to move forwards, you can use the wall, but obviously if you need to, you sit up higher. And then you can bring your hands up, bring your chest forwards. If you've got the movement, you might be resting your head on the wall. And if you don't have that complete movement, you can bring the bolster and just rest the head there. And you can hold the big toes with the first two fingers. And then come up and release. Okay. So we're going to take, I think probably Viparita Karani. Yes. Because I wanted to leave enough time to do a good 5 minutes in this pose and then 5 minutes Shavasana. So if you get your set up, again, you'll need the wall. I'm going to take a high lift today. I'm going to take 4 foams. And then there'll be a brick behind. If you're not able to go up the wall, you can put your legs on a chair, but do have your buttocks slightly elevated so there is that lift in the chest. Blanket there. You might want a blanket for the head if it's a high lift. So I'm just going to put that there just in case. And you can either roll into it or go in from the side. So I'm going to try rolling in today. This is the easiest way. Like so. So it's very high, which means that the chest is well lifted. My shoulders are tucked right under. I don't know if I need a blanket. Let's have a look. No, that doesn't feel good. Oh, so my buttocks are not exactly touching the wall because the lift is so high. But it's very, very nice, very restful. Restful and stimulating at the same time. If you've got the sofa, you can use the sofa. So you would start off sitting on the sofa, but with your facing the back of the sofa, and then just get your shoulders down to the floor. You could even hold underneath the sofa. You might find some money under there. And of course, you can do this in chair shoulder stand with the legs elevated up. Okay, so we're going to start to think about coming out and lying flat for Shavasana. So if you bend your knees and put your feet on the wall and slide back, wriggle back if you're on a sticky mat. And then what I do is I bend the knees, I cross my legs on the bolster first with my buttocks on the floor and just rest the back for a moment. Or you can have the soles of the feet together. And then we'll roll to the side and come up and lie flat for Shavasana. So make sure that you're warm enough when you lie down so that you're not disturbed by the cold. That you clear your space so that when you lie down you don't have to shove things out the way. And then rest in Shavasana for the final few minutes. And if the eyes don't close naturally, just let them stay soft focused, and if the mind doesn't quieten, then focus on the touch of the body against the floor and the breath. So you can stay in Shavasana, of course, but those that are ready to come out, you can bring your hands onto your belly and then bend your knees and roll to your side, and then open the eyes and come up. And then enjoy the rest of your day. Hope to see you in class next week. Have a great week.